Hello friends, in today's video I'm going to share a recipe with you. It's a new recipe. I have never made this recipe before, but it sounded really good. It's pumpkin spice cake with cream cheese frosting. Now this will be dairy free and sugar free. I'm going to use Stevia blend, and I'm going to try to make it as trim, healthy, mama friendly as possible, but it might wind up being a crossover. I'm going to use sprouted grain flour and stevia blend, which would make it an E, but it's going to have eggs in it. So I'm not sure what it would wind up being, whether it would be an E or a crossover, but in any case, it's going to be delicious, hopefully. And so let's get started. So these are the ingredients you are going to need for this cake. I'm going to use stevia. The recipe calls for coconut sugar, so I may add a little coconut sugar to it because coconut sugar is low glycemic and it adds kind of a molassesy type flavor, so I'll probably put some coconut sugar in with it. Cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, baking soda, salt, a can of pumpkin, whole wheat flour. The recipe calls for whole wheat flour. I'm going to use sprouted wheat flour, 2 eggs, vanilla. This is my homemade vanilla that I did several months ago, and some coconut oil. Now the recipe calls for 1/4 cup of coconut oil, and I think I am going to go ahead and just use that because if it's spread out through an entire cake, I don't think it's really going to add that much fat, and I think this can still stay within the E setting on Trim Healthy Mama. But like I said, it could be a crossover, but that's okay too. Like pretty much any recipe that you do, you mix the dry ingredients first and then you add the wet ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and put the flour, the coconut sugar, the stevia, baking soda, the salt. Oh, I forgot baking powder. That's on my list. I need to grab that out of the cupboard. And the spices to this bowl. I will have the complete recipe in the description box below if you want to give this recipe a try. while you were putting the batter together, of course, you needed to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And then you take a 9x13 baking pan and you coat it with cooking spray. And you put the batter in the pan, you spread it in evenly. Smells so good. I wish you guys could smell this. Okay, so now you bake this at 350 degrees for 45 to 50 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. When this is all baked and cooled and ready to frost, I'll bring you back. I'll show you how to do a cream cheese frosting, a dairy-free cream cheese frosting, and then we'll give it a try. This took a little bit less than 40 minutes. I set my timer for 40 minutes because I thought 45 to 50 minutes seemed like an awfully long time. So I just set it for 40 minutes and I checked it at 39 minutes, like a minute early, and it's completely done. So if you make this cake, make sure that I would recommend that you set it for 35 minutes and then check it from then on, because I think it could have been taken out even a couple of minutes sooner. This is still piping hot. It's too hot to frost, but I'm going to go ahead and get the icing ready, because when you use dairy-free cream cheese, it gets more like a glaze than it does a frosting. And I want to put it back in the refrigerator after I get it mixed up, so that it has time to kind of get more hard, not so loose. You'll see what I mean when I make it. It'll get firmer so that when I frost the cake, it will be more like a frosting rather than just a glaze. So I'm using this plant-based cream cheese, dairy-free cream cheese. And I've noticed, because I used to be able to eat dairy, and since switching to non-dairy, I've noticed that their cream cheese and their sour cream is not as like sour, you might want to say, as dairy, the dairy versions. So I'm gonna use just a little bit, maybe like a half a teaspoon of lime juice. You can use any kind of acid that you want. And then I'm going to be sweetening it with stevia. I don't really measure when I make my cream cheese frosting. I just kind of dump and go and taste and see if I, taste it, see if it's sweet enough. Because ordinarily when you make cream cheese frosting, you have to pull the cream cheese out of the refrigerator and let it soften. Well, dairy-free cream cheese comes already soft. You don't have to do not let it come to room temperature at all, or you will have a mess. And this is just an 8-ounce package. I'm going to start off with 1/4 of a teaspoon of this lime juice. You could use lemon juice or apple cider vinegar or whatever you happen to have, or whatever you like. I don't really want this to be a citrus flavored frosting, but I do want it to have a little bit more of that sour cream cheese taste. So I'm just going to start with 2 tablespoons of stevia. This stevia blend that I use is twice as sweet as sugar. So that would be like adding 4 tablespoons of sugar. And so you can see, I pulled that cream cheese straight out of the refrigerator, and I can easily stir it with this spatula. Alright, I'm going to give it a taste and see if it's sweet enough. It's definitely sweet enough. I'm going to add just a tad more lime juice, just a tad more. So I ended up putting a half a teaspoon. And I think that is going to be good enough. I'm not going to add any more sweetener to it. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and by the time the cake is cool, this will be the right consistency to spread. Cake is still technically too warm, but I'm tired of waiting, so I went ahead and frosted it. I'm going to cut myself a piece, I'm going to give it a taste test, and I'll let you know what I think. So here is what the crumb looks like. It looks really good. I thought it was going to be super dense, but it's actually pretty light. I guess it's kind of dense. It reminds me a little bit of gingerbread in its texture and its density, and it seems pretty moist. So I'm going to give it a taste test. Oh my goodness. That is really, really good. Really good. It's moist. It's very flavorful. You can taste all the spices in it. It's not too terribly sweet, but it's definitely sweet enough for a cake. The frosting is really good. It's delicious. I would highly recommend this cake. As always, friends, the recipe will be in the description box below. I highly recommend that you give this a try. Even if this isn't a true Trim Healthy Mama recipe, it is made with very wholesome ingredients, and it's healthy for you. Lots of fiber and low sugar, not terribly high in fat, and whole grain. So it's very, very good for you. Thanks so much for watching, friends. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you later. I'm gonna go sit down and finish this piece of cake. Bye-bye.